live? Okay,
Is it? We could, I
we
guess.
we
It's a
should.
thing
Is
we
it?
should do.
Is it? I
Oh,
don't know.
what? Well,
Yeah.
hello there.
I did that. I did that
What?
to you this time. I hit it without even mentioning it. So we could.
You're so sneaky.
Ha ha ha! I
Oh, got
got
me
you there.
again, TK.
Exactly.
There weren't
Come
for you
back next week
meddling
for another
kids.
episode.
I love it.
Dude.
Well,
Welcome
everybody,
back.
welcome to another episode of Best of Our Week, where we talk about the best of our week.
Yeah.
It's definitely been another interesting week of tech announcements, of developer conferences, and
there's a tech announcement going on in the middle of our show, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The Tesla announcement.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of shift gears and talk about that a little too, because one of us is definitely of the Tesla variety. But no, it something in the air. Like, we go through like a rash of hardware releases, and I don't know about you, but for me, it's just been like I've been dancing around like crazy trying to keep up with software announcements, software updates, software patches,
man, dude, crazy
betas. I mean, just all over the place. So this is a good time, I feel, for us to kind of keep on track of how these products are aging over time. Not just like, oh, well, I got this phone embargo week and I guess it was good. Now that we're a couple months out, has it gotten better? Has it improved? And
has the experience, have they delivered on the promises that they said at the announcement? That big show that they did at the beginning, did they deliver? That's the biggest thing that always drives me crazy. We get so many promises. No, exactly. Nobody goes back and says, look, we're still waiting for it. And I made sure to hold OnePlus to that when I did my video on the OnePlus watch, because they promised a lot of things on the show floor, right? And it took them a couple months, a few updates, but they delivered, and that's what I wanted to review. I wanted to review the full package, even if I was an early, adopter / reviewer, and I had a unit at day one. But
not like you and I were bragging or anything like that.
No. I do want to say, we are blessed in our own way, being able to be part of this process, to be able to share our thoughts. And hashtag blessed, hashtag not sponsored. Thank you very much.
Yeah, really. That would actually be a nice. I think I'm going to bump up my camera here real quick. I'm just a little dark, and I like keeping it cozy.
I thought you were just tan, man. But I was going to say, really,
cozy.
Dude's been kicking it out the sun, Juan Carlos by the beach, sipping matas.
That looks better. I think that looks a little.
It's a little bit better, but it's brighter.
Yeah.
How many clicks did you go? Did you go a couple or one?
I just went up. I nudged up one ISO, one full stop.
Then there's not much you could. Yeah, I was gonna say it looks a lot better.
So yeah,
we're back to non-beach Juan Carlos. Okay, thank you.
No, that's fine. Again, this is. I look happier. I look lighter. Those of you catching the replay on the audio version of the podcast, this is terrible podcasting for you. But let's just say I look way better.
A lot of visuals should not be part of the show. It's just like I gotta X this out. But no. Juan Carlos is doing great. Posture check. We're getting it from Greg. We have Greg in the chat. Vince, Gary, of course, the major, the man, the fireman.
I've got the new chair, and we talked about the mesh chair.
It's
mostly better, but it is like the back is just that little bit too far away. So okay. It really encourages you to do this while you're working.
So the intention is to keep you chillaxing.
Really, and I like meerkatting while I edit. I like
you want to be right.
Yeah, like being up.
I know.
So I'm not quite getting the lumbar support that I feel like I should be, which is
I recommend a cushion, but that's my recommendation.
I might need to do that, but the whole point was to go like airy and open.
I know.
And
mesh, you want to do less. You don't want things to block the airflow.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a perfect chair.
It really isn't.
I'll say this. I agree with you wholeheartedly. The gaming chair experience of sitting in it all day, working, editing, it is not. It was, the fad died real quick at the beginning, and I kind of lived with it for all these years. And I have two. This is the funny thing. I recently did the video for FlexiSpot, and then I gave that chair to my wife because she wanted that chair. So I have two gaming chairs sitting in the office now that I have no space for, but they're here. Definitely. Vince is like, TK needs to do next thing is we need to do a chair upgrade. I've been eyeing the Razer chair. They're saying supposedly it is one of the most comfortable chairs ever as a gaming chair, but it is also, I think, like 400 and something bucks. So I got to figure out how to swing that without start selling some of my old GPUs just to kind of afford some of this stuff. Oh man!
Well, now would be the right time. Again, selling high. If
and
GPUs
especially
were
and
like
older
stocks.
GPUs, yeah. Even and older GPUs are more valuable because they don't have the they didn't remove the, what's it called, the LHR model, the new edition that was not even mentioned during the announcement. By the way, of the new RTX line, but it is definitely there. They did remove the mining capabilities, but they're still selling like hotcakes, so it doesn't matter. Still, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, now would be the right time to flip a GPU for a gaming chair.
Yeah, but without the GPU, can you really game? No. Matt,
I almost feel like, is there any way that I could I think I still have my old GTX 970 in a box somewhere, and be like,
yeah,
who wants it? Come on, I know what I have here. Don't try and lowball me.
2 to 3K, please. Go.
Serious offers only.
It is. No, I think I think I do at some point need to change the chair. It is. I sit all day and I do, day job stuff, YouTube, all of that. I'm in this chair consistently. And the other chair that I got for the other gaming chair is a little bit more comfortable, but it doesn't get as high. That was the other issue that I had. There's been a height, and I've adjusted the camera, the setup, the office, both the front, the back desk, the side desk. Anyways, let's talk a little bit more about what's been going on. I saw you posted a couple of videos. I think one of them was on your Lumix, the G9, was it?
Yeah, so that's the video that we just got out today.
Yeah, I saw it posted on the Patreon first.
So I've got it over here on the side. This is the sort of around the office production camera, but it's just a funny state of affairs where after the move, I was really seriously looking again at, should I try and make a camera or platform change? Should I invest in a new system? And it's mostly fine. The G9 has been solid. I still think it's maybe the most cost-effective way to get good 4K 60 video. Like that camera body is just so inexpensive for a nice interchangeable lens. Decently well featured and video focused shooter. But the autofocus is really weak. So many of my setups in Gadget Lab 3 required me to manual focus for every small change that I might want to do.
I remember.
Just the autofocus is not reliable. And even in here, I'm kind of loosely trying to walk around the office a bit more, and it's just not great. So just as I was seriously I could package all this up, I could start trying to sell this stuff off. I think I can make this play happen. Panasonic comes out with a flurry of updates on the lenses I've got and on the camera body. And I got to say, it actually really did help. Autofocus at 60 frames per second. So I can stave off that upgrade for a little bit longer. I'm still gonna agonize about it.
The Lumix gods saw the signs. They're like, wait a minute,
exactly.
Ready to switch. Push the updates now. Release the hounds.
Oh, he's doing it for real. He's going. He's gonna leave.
Hey man, bonsoir, Steve. Yes, it is. I'm glad you were able to get that to go. It's always nice to see updates. Don't get me wrong. The GH5 that I had was, they fixed a lot of the issues with the autofocusing, but it was still, even after all of the updates that they pushed out, still having seeking issues. Specifically when I'm in scenarios where like this, right? I'm talking with my hands, I'm moving my hands. It would lose focus. It would seriously, and you see that pulsating effect. So one thing I'd never built into my setup entirely, even when because I originally started with Canons. Canon has amazing autofocusing and I loved it, but I needed to go to the 70D, the 60D were great, but Canon just kept skipping 4K. I was just nowhere with getting 4K. The 80D didn't even get, I think, 4K if I'm not mistaken. So I had to jump over to GH5. Autofocusing got better, but it still wasn't all the way. The only thing that kept me with GH5, honestly, was the flippy camera, the flippy display. And once Sony came out with the A7S III and they're like, hold my beer kind of thing, we're a couple of years late, but hold my beer. I had to jump on it. So I really like Sony, and worked, which I would say work with whatever you have always if you're able to make it work. But if it feels like it's a stop, it's going to hinder your creativity, your productivity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like when you were playing with GH5, because I had a production. I was using in a studio. I was using a production GH4. Yeah. I never owned one. But when my camera got busted traveling for Pocket Now, I sort of retired that old Samsung and I went over to a G85. The G9, I don't know if it had it first, but it had the actual face and eye tracking.
So yeah, no, they have that.
So as I'm talking with my hands, it is doing a phenomenally good job of trying to keep with my eyes. The problem is it still overcorrects. So as I'm talking with my hands, I'm obviously not staying on exactly the same plane. So as I move, and especially if I'm at a shallower depth of field, like I'm shooting right now on like an f1.4, you know, I'm just like the most shallow, the fastest lens I can put on that camera.
I was going to say you're not shallow, but yeah.
As I'm very broad, but very shallow.
Shallow, yeah.
So even as I'm kind of just naturally sort of breathing, you know, like as I'm sort of leaning forward and back, it tends to find the focus by pushing just past and then recovering.
Yeah, that's that pulse. It does that little. You can see it in
the a little too much. Like it can't just snap in. It's almost got to like it's almost always an overcorrection and then correction, and it still does that now. But at least at 60 frames per second, it does it so much smoother that you don't notice that extra breathing.
That breathing, yeah, and absolutely. And I think they fixed it in the second edition of the GH5, which by that point, I wasn't willing to drop another, so much money, because I think with the lenses and everything, it was an expensive jump to go from Canon to Lumix, and then going from Lumix over to Sony. So Sony for me was kind of like a going into solidifying or unifying the system. I already had Sony. The A7 III. I still have my Sony overhead. So, and the RX7s, all of the different Sony cameras. The only thing I never changed was the primary camera, because I felt like this was the one that always worked. So yeah, absolutely. I think Lumix or the GH series or the G9, I think yours is the G9, right? Not the GH.
Yeah, I have the G9.
Yeah. So the G9 and the GH5 can definitely get better. It just depends on what you want to go. You want to go micro four thirds, you want to go full frame, you want to go, APS-C, depending on the ecosystem and lens cameras and all of those. I still have some of my old Canon glass that I'm using an adapter just to use with my A7S III if I need to, or actually more likely the A7 III. Yeah.
And at some point, like I still do want to go full frame. But like when you're really trying to look at what you're going to do in a space like this, if I can keep shooting, like a couple of these Sigma, I forget what they're called.
You mean the adapters or the lenses?
No. Sigma Prime? Sigma makes like a special line of lenses. Hold on.
I don't think it's called the Prime. Yeah.
It's probably not going to say, but their DC line of lenses, and I forget. There's like a special name for this, but this is their 16 millimeter, and you can see it's like a coffee mug. For micro four thirds, this is a huge lens. So when I'm shooting f1.4, this is very similar to like Sony at around f2.8. And honestly, like if I start pushing full frame and I'm starting to get to like f2, that's way too shallow. Like when I'm trying to show like gadgety stuff and editorial stuff, like I'm never gonna push that shallow. So if I can keep a few of these micro four thirds lenses handy and I'm shooting at least in kind of office lighting, I think I can stave it off. I don't know that my videos would look dramatically different going full frame at f2.8. It would only really kind of change things up if I had like a longer office so I could kind of play with space and depth of field a little bit differently. Yeah. But right now, I think I'm okay to hold off like for the next year. Before
I think you have the ability of focus. Your camera setup is always within arm's reach to actually set up your focus. I think that was my biggest thing for me is I can't set it's too far. There's still like 2 feet away between me and the camera, and that's how far it is. If I had to manually set it up every time, it would just be almost impossible. I would have to like sit the chair exactly where I'm going to be, move myself, and then make sure I'm in that focal plane. So we'll keep you guys going with all of the all the different camera lenses and so on. But the thing that I think we're both mostly talking about this week, also when we start talking about updates and things, we've been hit with a big update. Obviously, Android 12 beta 2 got kicked up. Everybody, obviously, I'm sure everybody in the chat already checked it. It is so much better. And not only that, they're starting to go beyond what we originally were able to, I think, dig up in the original developer preview. Like the customization, the theming is finally here. The toggles to be able to turn on and off the microphone system wide are finally here. So we're starting to see truly that new Google's inspiration, and we're also seeing so much of a like a departure from what we had with 11. Like it doesn't even look like it's seriously. No. If I had taken this about 6 months earlier and we sat down and we looked at this and what we had with most of the Android Android OEM,
I would have said, "Oh, this must be Xiaomi's new skin."
It's seriously, it would have felt like it was an OEM skin hitting up Android, right? You're like, wait, where's the buttons are different? Like now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the settings, the power button is now in the notification panel. That's a new one. They took away if you press and hold the power button, you no longer have that the ability of launching the payment service or turning on the automation. So that to me is a very different. I like that actually in 11, having all the toggles in the power menu. So I'm like, okay, where is it going? Where did it go, Google? So I'm still adapting. I like the theming. I've had the theming for a while, but I'm glad that it's actually active now and everybody can check it out. So. I think you have it on your Pixel 5, 4? I have it on the 4A. So
yeah, I ran it on my 4A. So Marie has the 4A 5G. I'm running it because I did the very, very first developer preview. Beta on the 4A, and I just kind of kept swapping that out. So I don't keep any of my stuff really on the 4A anymore. It's just so I can run.
For me,
developer reviews.
Absolutely, and surprisingly enough, for everybody that's trying it out, it runs so good on the 4A. It runs on the basic lowest level entry Pixel you could get, and I'm pretty sure it would have run the exact same way on the 3A if I still had mine. And realistically, it's that good, and it's fast, it's fluid. And I like I said, the buttons aren't. I'm not having a problem with the button. I'm just saying it's more about the departure from what we typically understood Google to like, and all of those things are looking very much like they're very big button friendly right now. I'm hoping at some point we'll get some scaling configuration to be able to set that up. Because I feel like the buttons are a little bit too big for what they do. It just a little bit, or I want a row of 3s as opposed to 2s. You know what I mean? Like what happens? But we'll have to see what they decide to do at the end. It's nice. It's definitely more one-handed friendly. I did get a chance also to play with Android 12 beta or alpha, whichever, OxygenOS 12 alpha. That's the best way to describe it, or beta.
Yeah. I really wanted to jump on that one too, but I was spending all my time with the Pixel 4a, just kind of poking around there. That I haven't gotten to.
There really isn't. I mean,
we talked about it last week how they pulled that.
So they did pull it
and then brought it back, and I haven't jumped on it now that it's back.
Yeah, and the reason why they pulled it is because it had a lot more of the ColorOS screens in there. So I was talking to Max Weinbach. I'm sure you guys know him in the chat, and he had a couple of screenshots that he had taken before he reverted back to Android 11, back with his, because he was able to get it installed and didn't break his phone.
Oh, right on.
But the recovery page says on it ColorOS recovery.
Oh,
the Wi-Fi password entry is a color. So
okay.
Unless somehow, some way, I don't think it's doable, that somebody posted the wrong images for OnePlus's beta and used ColorOS build. I don't know. By the end of the process, though, it was bricking people's devices because they were doing some things. So, anyways, they took it out, they brought it back, and now literally looks like developer preview 2, maybe 3 from what we saw with Pixel on a OnePlus. Okay. So
they're definitely kind of we're saying this, I shouldn't be surprised that Google would be ahead in polishing up.
No, absolutely, yeah.
So funny is we say things and then we kind of put that in the context of like, oh well, OnePlus, they're falling behind on their updates. And
they're not falling behind. They're catching
really
up.
It's everyone should be catching up to Google. That's the way it should work.
And that's how I presented it. I didn't want to make it sound like I was like, OnePlus, you are so behind, dude. How come you don't have the same color? But no. I think it was a great accomplishment to get it to boot up. It is not stable by any means. The fingerprint sensor doesn't work. The HDR doesn't work. The brightness every time so if you turn on gestures and you adjust the brightness and you restart the phone, your brightness goes up back to 100% and your gestures go back to buttons. So there's a whole bunch of things. There's a whole bunch of things going on. My main reason of jumping on this was purely for Android 12 desktop mode. We couldn't test it, right? There was no way to test it with Pixel.
Drives me crazy.
So it just, and then we're at Android 12. This is the frustrating part. But overall looked decent. Same thing though, unfortunately. Still like Android 11, Android 10. It doesn't really change much. It boots, it goes in, you're able to turn it on. There was a few issues with the OnePlus 9 not recognizing my mouse input, so it wouldn't just not work. And you had to kind of do a little bit of a song and dance, guitar earrings, all of those. I got it to work enough for me to be able to capture some clips and then put that in a video. I would say seriously, if you're spending enough time right now with beta, I think that's the right space to spend the time.
Jump out.
And I would say jump in on the next one. Jump on the next alpha or next beta for OnePlus, which shouldn't be too long. I think that'll be a little bit more polished. And we'll see how things go. My hope is to start seeing some of the elements of OxygenOS 12, because right now all we're seeing is Android 12 booting up on a OnePlus. So we'll see.
Well, I'm hoping that we'll see some traction here. I know with Motorola, kind of sporting Ready for, and a few more. Just like, have you seen? I'm gonna try. I've got one on order. I don't know when I'll get it, but the UPerfect that looks like it's trying to be sort of a Surface, but a laptop dock.
So
it's a
screen,
just like you've seen those WiMAX right? Those touch screens and stuff. So it's got that, but then it has pogo pins where you can connect a keyboard blade. So instead of it being a laptop dock, it's like a two.
Because you already have the other UPerfect, right? So this would be.
I've got the 360, which looks like the it's called. Excuse me, I have the UPerfect X, which looks like a Next Dock 360.
I was like, what? They copied the name?
And hopefully, because I still did have Next Dock sort of in line, their shipping just keeps getting bumped. So I'm hoping that they'll be recovering soon too. Like I might end up with like 2 more portable touchscreens and another 2 laptop docks coming over the next month.
We just need to hook you up with phones with desktop modes. That's all we need, man.
But there's also, I think there's something interesting about talking about phones that still do okay without a desktop mode. So as long as you've got USB 3 and you can do video output, it's silly when you're on your home screen and you just see this like vertical column in the middle of your display. But when you go into an app and you kick it into landscape, like that can actually work really well. I did a lot on my Sony that way because Sony doesn't do anything for desktop.
No, they just do display mirroring. Yeah.
So I just think it's kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to play with that. I really want to kind of revisit the Surface Duo. Kind of like it doesn't. It pillar boxes because of the aspect ratio, but it almost doesn't need a desktop mode the way that it split screens apps.
Well, it's an actual desktop on its own, right?
It's already
exactly. Yeah,
in like the same way that an iPad kind of will do some multitasking and some split screening. This does it with dual displays.
I connected your Duo when I had it for that 1 month to my Next Dock, and it does
works pretty well.
Exactly, it covers the desktop. It doesn't recognize touches on certain aspects of the screen, like the outer rate. Yeah, like focus center, almost everything worked. But I think the as you're saying, essentially it's a desktop experience on a phone. That's if you just look at it in that way. So when it transfers to the Next Dock, it looked exactly the way you think of it. It was just without the bar. You had the display connect itself, right? You get the whole experience exactly the way it's supposed to be. So we'll see. I'm hoping the 360. I've heard about that as well. I'm kind of waiting on them as well. Hopefully they're able to start shipping out and people are able to get their orders. So I know everything is delayed. Let's just say that there's a whole bunch of delays going on. So yeah.
Well, I feel like. So I did the UPerfect X, and a lot of people are like, wow, this is going to be way too expensive. And here we are over a month, almost 2 months later, and the Next Dock 360 still hasn't shipped.
Yep.
So I really feel like what Next Dock is doing is way more boutique. So they're waiting on a certain tipping point of orders where then they've got to source those components and work with an ODM to kind of assemble everything. Whereas what UPerfect has done is they've bought up a certain number of finished devices at whatever the market prices were for those components, and now they're sitting on shelves. But that's more expensive. You know what I mean? It's like if you can get down to like pennies of difference in component pricing and you know exactly how many pre-orders you've got to fulfill, I'm sure you can come in at a lower price, but that means you're totally beholden to the whims of an international market full of component shortages as to when that product's actually going to ship.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's going to be something that they're both using the best that they can, right? Somebody is like, we want to be first, and that's the cost of it. You'll have something sitting on the shelf, or you want to be a little bit later, but then you have the right numbers and you're playing the margins. Because if you keep in mind, Next Dock is an iterative process, right? This is not going to be their last dock. They're going to come up with the next one. They're going to be more updates, more features. So the goal, and I felt like really the Next Dock Touch and the Next Dock 2 were much better than the first one. The material, the build, the speakers, everything, the battery,
actually,
the connector.
I still feel like second gen Next Dock has been my favorite.
I still use it.
Yeah, that's the metal body.
Yeah. That's the one I bring out for most of my hands-on and so on. So sort of thing is they make great products. Hopefully they're able to release it. I think I saw a comment from Michael Peppertech saying that was actually an interesting approach. It says Google needs desktop mode. Google needs desktop mode because they're relying on OEMs to make it run well. Is a bad thing because they're letting other people make the decisions on how desktops are going to be. It should be available with stock so that developers get it sooner when OEMs push it. So desktop mode is built into Android. So OnePlus isn't really.
No, but I mean, like what Michael is saying is to actually
they need to control the process. No, absolutely. But let's be realistic though. Google's been doing this before, where they didn't. Okay, split screen functionality on all of our Android devices did not start with Google, did not start with Pixel or Nexus. It started with Samsung on the first, I think, with the first Note. They initiated, and it used to be so buggy because they were putting their own code, they were running it over Android. And then Google realized that there's a potential for this, and then they incorporated it. But they learned from what Samsung did on their end.
Yeah.
Hopefully, somebody at Google is like realizing that Samsung peaked with DeX. I think DeX has reached a certain level of, because now we have wireless DeX, we have wired DeX, we have DeX on PC. There's not much DeX can't do realistically in the confine of running off of a smartphone. So what we're getting here is just an experience that we need to actually have Google step in and start merging that code, bringing that experience, evolving desktop, and allowing us
at least lead the way on your own products. Like, to me, I feel it's just a missed opportunity to have a Pixel not display some kind of Chrome OS style interface when you plug it into a monitor.
It's such a missed opportunity. Yeah,
it is. It really is. And especially because, like, where is it? It's over here on my desk somewhere. My little Pixel 5 here is more powerful than a huge swath of Chromebooks out there. Like, this is already more capable hardware than a lot of like your lower end student grade Chrome OS solutions. So I just feel like that they could be driving that conversation. They could be, and I don't know what's holding them back. Like, are they really concerned that enabling a higher tier enthusiast feature on the Pixel phone is going to somehow radically disrupt Chromebook sales? Like, because it kind of makes sense where Samsung doesn't want to make a really nice laptop dock because they want you to buy a phone and a tablet and a laptop. They don't want you eating into how many computers they want you to buy. Ditto with Apple. Like, look at all the shenanigans that have been going on with iPad Pro and M1 and WWDC. I was totally way off on all of my predictions for WWDC because I thought, like, here it is. Apple is taking iPad Pro so seriously. They're gonna blow the doors off. it's going to get you right up to almost having a MacBook. It's going to be amazing. And they did none of it. I could not have been more wrong. I don't really feel like Google has that concern. I feel like Google can kind of like drop something like that, polish it up, make it really nice, and it's not really going to have a huge impact on their core markets, but it would be a huge boon to people that want to kind of drive a single purchase a little bit harder, pick up an accessory like a portable monitor or a laptop dock or something, and like really go to town.
I think the laptop dock is ever since Project Linda has been a fantasy thing for me. The ability to just I want to dock my phone into the dock, make it like transform it into a thing. So that I feel like would be the best experience. But I'm with you. I think it's something that we need. It should have been. It's 3 iterations now that we've had desktop mode baked in, but Google's just not. By the way, we don't know if Whitechapel is going to be able to support it, the new hardware, being that they're able to control everything. They could. We don't know. Yeah, but from the early looks into it, it doesn't seem like they've been doing any development.
Now, I'd be really surprised if Whitechapel weren't capable. From what we've seen. If it's as powerful as the Snapdragon 855, I would be shocked if it didn't have the raw capability to handle this. I mean, I don't know. Have you played with Screen Plus on a Velvet?
No. No, actually, wait. I want to say I thought we had it on the V60 that I played with it.
Oh yeah, Screen Plus is on the V60, but a Velvet is a 765, and Screen Plus runs like butter.
Okay.
I mean, it is.
I gotta fire that up. Yeah.
I would say like the most recent update for the Korean Velvet is it's maybe even a little bit smoother than what we had on the V60, even though the V60 is more powerful.
Yeah.
And again, that's a 765. Again, like on my Pixel 5, this is still more powerful than a lot of Chromebooks out there. You just got to give us the more polished version of it, the more polished implementation. We don't have to keep talking about.
No. Absolutely. I think for me, it was more about Android 12 and Beta 2, especially with the updates that we saw. But my reason why, like I said, I think where we kind of shifted over is because I installed the Android 12 beta on my OnePlus 9 purely, literally, that was the intention. Other than seeing how it boots, it was to just play around with desktop mode. And I was hoping for some additional updates. I mean, realistically, we'll have to see how it goes. But these are some of those things. But then on the other side, since we're speaking OnePlus, they did finally announce the brand new OnePlus CE, the Core Edition 5G.
Yeah.
It's like essentially a Nord kind of an experience. So it's not coming to the US. So that's one thing. It was announced in Europe. I think they just dropped it. Was it yesterday or today? Looks like a 750G processor, 6 gigs, 8 gigs. There was a few configurations. 90 hertz display. It's a Nord. It kind of fits the Nord mold, actually. Now that we have a few generation of we had the N10, the N100. It kind of fits that Nord experience. It's 90 hertz. It's like basically a bang for the buck, right?
Sure.
With OnePlus OxygenOS on top, and then that kind of built into it. That was interesting. That was interesting to get it to release, and I'm surprised why they're not releasing it in the US. I assume that the N10 and N100 are performing well, being that they were with carriers. So I would have expected them to release something a little bit more US or stateside. We're not getting a lot of love lately. I don't know why. Sony's releasing their stuff in China. OnePlus. Sorry.
Well, and again, it's like I'm not bitter because I'm still very excited about an Xperia 1 Mark III. But
absolutely, same here.
There are like 3 or 4 YouTube channels that are all into like millions of views on Xperia 1 Mark III videos, and I'm just sitting there like,
and it's rightfully so because the
time to talk about them, they're hot now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's hot now, by the time they actually ship to the United States, the conversation and especially the YouTube algorithm will have moved on, which is just kind of
and then I think the initial videos that I saw last week when we were talking were a little bit here and there. They were unboxing, whatever. Now we're starting to seeing full on deep dive, 30-minute, 20 minutes, my style type of videos come up, things like that. So We have to wait. There's not much we could do. It's like going to a candy store and checking out all the shiny new toys and candies and stuff like that, and then going home and coming back, say we'll be back in late
Why
summer.
not me? But why not me?
I was so tempted to hit up a buddy of mine in Hong Kong to try to get a unit. And I'm just trying to figure out, is it worth spending the $1,400 plus shipping plus import tax, however it ends up being? And I would still probably be late. I don't think it'll be. I don't think it's a race. I think I want to spend more time with the device and give my opinion. Like, it's the long term. We still have our Pixel. Our Xperia 1 Mark 2s.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm actually rocking it right now with the new XM4s that they finally dropped. Also,
nice.
These at least I could pick up here. They're not cheap, but I could.
I'm going to be behind on those too, but I really do need to grab a pair of those. I've been trying to kind of like not stack headphone review after headphone review after headphone review, because my ears just burn out and like I can't hear the differences anymore when I'm trying to critically listen. But those are ones that are definitely high on my list. You've been digging them, so I'm really excited to take them.
I love the first generation, and I'm very glad with what they did with the second one. I feel like the design is definitely my biggest thing that they changed, that I'm improving, that I love. The first one, if you remember, they were very standing out. They feel like they're sticking out of your ear a little bit, but they sounded great. The case, very bulky. They fixed that. Magnetic, they just sit in the case, they don't fall. The sound quality is really nice. The EQ and the customizations with the app, still Sony's second to none, really. LDAC in there, 360 audio, all the things we want, and then noise cancellation that is almost second to none. So I'm glad, and that's all I listen to right now. I'm just connecting them to my Sony. I just wished one thing though. I really wish they did multi-device pairing. That's still not there.
Well,
one device at a time.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a couple that technically handle it. I gotta say, on the Android side, the implementation of passing Bluetooth over to different sources hasn't been great. I mean, like I'm at a point now where, well, let's be honest, I have too much stuff. So right now I have my Duo paired to the earphones. I've got my V6. Well, my V60 usually just goes cabled, but I also have that connected to my One Mores. And then I've got my OnePlus hooked up on my sound cores. And that's just like scratching the surface of the stupid collection of headphones that I've got. So already
sound core, one more earphone. Yeah. One earphone, sound core, one. Yeah, sorry. I love the name.
And that, that doesn't also count the FIO, because that's the BTR5.
Yes.
And my Q3. Q9.
It is. No, it's Q3. FIO. Q3. You're talking about the FIO. Yeah. I have the same one.
So I've got too much stuff. But what's really cute is I got my wife on a FIO now too.
Oh, nice. I like it.
So
like it.
The Pixel 4a 5G has a headphone jack, and she was adamant, like, I need my phone to have a headphone jack. Not good enough. Not good enough coming from her LG G7.
I was gonna say you could she could see the little chink in the arm, right? So like it looks too shiny, it looks too great. But what's the
and because we went and got her ears molded so that she could wear nicer earbuds on good in-ear monitor, triple driver in-ear monitors, and those sounded pretty tasty on the G7. Not quite as nice on the Pixel. She is not an audiophile. She does not consider herself.
But she can hear. But she can hear the difference when you change the audio quality on. Even if you're listening to the same content, like even if you're listening to streaming audio, or you're not listening to obviously FLAC files or anything like that, you could still hear the difference. It's a very like listening to music with these on my mobile device is very different than any pair of audio. So for sure. I'm happy that you're able to get a FIO in there.
Yeah, I was also really proud too. It's like, well, I mean, it would be better if LG were still in the market selling phones with headphone jacks, but if we're gonna have to get you something that can go wireless, one of these little BTRs, I don't know, babe, let's give it a try.
I will say this
just
one,
ran with it.
The Q35s on from Soundcore are pretty nice.
The sound cores?
They're over ear though. They're not in ear, but they sound really good. They were very close to the XM3s and XM4s.
I don't doubt it. And I don't know what Soundcore does with their tuning, but it is some of the it's some of the most fun over bass. You know, like it kind of reminds me back. Do you remember back in the day when we started getting like CD players and headphones, and you'd see mega bass?
Mega bass. Yeah, there's a button.
Label on like audio products. I feel like Soundcore does a version of that for the modern era. I mean, like on my Liberties, like I don't know what they're doing with the tuning on these things, where they come in so lush, like it's thick, like this THICC bass coming in on these earbuds, but it doesn't. But
it's not over. Yeah, it's not overpowered. It's not. It doesn't overpower.
Oh, it's OP. No. I'm gonna say, like, this is inaccurate. It is overpowered. This is a lot of processing, but
I don't know how you're tuning them.
It's fun.
Do you play with the EQ? I tune it down. I actually tune. I go into the Soundcore app and I tune the experience. There's an EQ
the Soundcore
setting.
App is good.
So okay, so before we go,
I just leave it because
they're both Sony and Soundcore. Yeah.
So I just got the Blu-ray of Shin Godzilla. I don't know why I've waited to get this movie. I flippin' love this movie. I just got the Blu-ray. I ripped it, put it on my Plex. I've already watched it 3 times, just like having it on. Oh man. City destruction porn audio mix on Soundcores with all that extra rumble, and like especially that one scene where he's like finally fully formed and he's coming back out of the bay, and they actually play the Godzilla theme, the boom 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 boom.
So those are that's okay. So I see those type of movies you enjoy. Those are the type of movies and I'd say
and you want
that you want to have.
You want OP for something like that,
and I'm with you. And I still use my Liberty 3, my site. Hold on. See, now you got me going in with Soundcore, but mine are the 3 Pros. I like the Liberties. I enjoy them, but I'm always going to go back to the 3 Pro because it sounds, for me, this one sounds a little bit better, fits better in my ear, and just the balance.
Because they have the wings too.
Yeah. So there's a different setup. The Liberty Air 2s, when I first got them, I was very impressed with the quality. But again, you do need to go through the app and customize. There's a tuning experience where it does tune the experience to your ears. And it gets a little bit, I mean, for me, I get enough bass when I want it. And I don't necessarily, it doesn't overpower the mids and lows and the highs and the vocals. So to me, it's an enjoyable experience. I still think Sony does much better with their tuning on their side when it comes down just to drivers and overall performance. But we've been waiting for XM4s or for something from Sony for years. This is like 2 years in the making, right? This is like they skipped a year, that we didn't see something last year. So to me, it was very nice to see Sony back in the game.
Yeah, that is pretty trick though.
So I'm enjoying those, and I will be enjoying them for quite some time. Everywhere I go, I'll have, and they fit very nicely. And the one thing I really like about them is if you put them against each other, let me see if I can do. They actually magnetically connect to each other.
Oh, that's adorable. Which ones do I have that do that too? I can't remember. Maybe it was my One Mores that they would kind of like snick together. If you
was One More, I had the One More,
but it was one of them because I was trying to shoot video of it, going like, I just want a good side by side shot, and they would just
like,
keep going, come on.
Yeah, we're not today, senor. Yes, but yeah. So those are the things I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying a little bit more ear candy and fun, and that was a little bit of a surprise. I mean, we knew they were coming. We saw a lot of leaks, but it was kind of like. It was there. It was available on Amazon, and of course, like 1-day delivery. I can't. I'm very happy that I have Prime. Let's just say that it's one of those few times where I'm very appreciative. Yeah, no, for sure. Speaking of which, I think Apple iOS. I forgot to put that in the title this week. iOS 15 came out. There was a lot of like WWDC started on Monday. There was like the biggest event, obviously. What are some? Was there any highlights? Was there anything that stood out to you that you feel like that you've been looking forward to see? Because I haven't installed it. I'll be honest. I didn't get a chance. I had no more time.
I've got it. So again, it's like with everything that I've been jumping on, Panasonic, we got back-to-back updates on OnePluses. Like the OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro got the 0.66 update, and then almost immediately, it was like 5 days later, we got the 0.77 update, which actually has some of the best quality of life improvements for the camera app that we've seen yet. So like performance is already really good. Now just like camera layout and how it functions, so much better. So like now it's right on par with Xiaomi, and that they've kind of even further improved support for third-party camera apps. I'm rambling here. So it's on my iPhone SE. I'm ready to try it. I haven't had time.
Yeah, no, I was in the same. Well, I mean, okay, so the beta is available. It's available on quite a few. The SE was supported, and actually even the first SE was supported, surprisingly.
Yeah. So I'm not going to install it on that because I am actually a little anxious about performance. And there's another class action lawsuit that's being talked about Apple updates being planned obsolescence. So for older phones,
any iPhone user that's had a device ever since the 3GS back in the olden days can attest to that lawsuit, because I could tell you right now, I felt every time I got a new OS update that my phone became so slow, so bogged down by the update, like it was not designed for my device, that it forced me to want to basically go in there and try to get another iPhone, because I knew that the new iPhone worked on this much better. And that to me is a very, like, I subconsciously knew that every time a new OS was released, every time, they release a new version, that it was going to force me, that it was going to make things work weird. It's almost like when we went up with Android, from 10 to 11, there was going to be some growing pains. It's not going to be a clean install. But at least you know that if you reset the phone, you can kind of get back into a good spot. iPhones, you can't do that. It doesn't change the fact. It's still going to be that way. It's not designed. So, but yeah, no, I would definitely install it on something that's maybe A13, A14 for sure. I just had, like I said, I haven't had time to dig for some reason. I logged in, went to the site, the developer site on my SE. And I couldn't find the profile. Like for some reason, it wouldn't show me iOS 15 beta profile to download so that I can download that update. I'm still on the beta from the 14 side. So I kept, and then I just gave up. I'm like, you know what? I'll wait till the next beta and then I'll jump on that. There's no rush.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So I've got it ready.
Yeah.
And I wish I could comment on it more. So the whole thing about WWDC, and I feel like Apple is getting just a little bit of media backlash before we all roll over and just start proclaiming them the bestest ever again.
Yeah, that'll be on Monday.
The turnaround's going to be quick. We're going to have a couple days of like, Apple betrayed me. I'm never going to go. I'm not going to buy. I'm going to switch. And then next week it's going to be like, let me tell you about how amazing my iPad is. For me, the disappointment was iPad. I really had some high hopes that we would see. We got a few of the things like support for home screen widgets that aren't terrible. That was a little nicer. But I was really hoping to see some of that push towards opening up the performance of the M1. And
I was hoping, like
the
finally,
whole slate is still locked down like any other iPad.
But I think it's because of the ecosystem. 90% of their ecosystem for iPad right now isn't M1. M1 is literally just the baby that just finally.
That's true, but I feel like the message should start with, we're putting an M1 into an iPad. We've got all this RAM. Like there's more RAM in this in an iPad than a base model MacBook. We
have an iPad. We have a what's it called? A MacBook Air powered system here. Yeah.
But iPad OS still has this hard lock on preventing developers from really utilizing more of that RAM. And it's just an artificial limit of iPad OS from the A series iPads. There's no reason why you couldn't take the exact same structure and open up a developer's ability to access more RAM. And that would turn and you flag it. You don't let an A series iPad do that. This is an M1 specific feature, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no reason except for if you do a few things like that, then iPads will actually start eating into MacBook sales. And everything we saw was, well, this is going to be really cool if you have an iPhone, an iPad, and a MacBook. And you're like, that's cool, Apple, except I want to cut two of those computers out of the equation if I can.
There's no reason to have,
and there's no way Apple's going to do that. Apple is going to find every opportunity to make sure there's a hard division, and that's on me. I was really feeling like if Apple opened up the RAM and then supported just a little bit of a developer initiative to bring some more of these desktop style apps to the iPad, we would have been in really good territory for an iPad Pro to be a legit Surface Pro.
Legit Pro. Finally call it a Pro. See, that to me is a delineation of Pro. An A series versus an M series, an M1 or an M2, whatever the M series is going to be. I think they teased us with this. This is the problem. Yeah. They gave us the hardware. They gave you the Lamborghini style hardware in a car, but then they're running it on a Pinto OS. It's like it's kept by the software. So that was some of the things I also was kind of a little bit. I wasn't 100% very much. Like I was hoping for some things. I didn't, we didn't see a lot of it. I jumped in and out of the keynote mostly because there was a whole bunch of day job type of things going on.
Yeah.
The one thing I did catch that kind of stood out to me is that the way they brought FaceTime for Android is hilarious. It's hilarious that they brought us as a web extension first. But then second, and they ran it on the weirdest looking Android smartphone that I've ever seen in my life, with the biggest chin and a teardrop camera front facing. I'm like, oh my God, could you have why are you trying to make Android look so bad, but yet still show that you have some love? Like,
you can we're gonna pity all of those.
It truly it felt like a pity party for some reason. I don't know why.
No, we do know why. It's because Apple is hilarious with their marketing. It's all Apple.
It is a la Apple. Like, I'm like, why not? We'll let you talk to us. It's fine. You
don't get to sit at our lunch table, but you'll
talk to us from the fence. You can talk to us from the outside, look through the glass, but stay outside. It's fine. I mean, if it is now, at least I can say for people that don't have iOS devices that you do want to have a FaceTime conversation, it's kind of doable. I haven't tried it. That'll be one of the things I'd love to try. I can say this much mostly because my son's friends' parents have iPhones, and we've always had to figure out ways of communicating or doing video chat over WhatsApp or Skype. So solidifying the ecosystem would be nice, making it easier to cross-platform, but the approach is very funky. I can bet you right now that there'll be some issues with the browser extensions. Audio doesn't work exactly. The experience wouldn't be good enough to a certain experience to force you to, like, man, I wish I had an iPhone so we could talk.
And again, it's all going to be in service of making Android users look bad.
Yes. And I just that whatever phone that was, it looked like a weird. The biggest chin ever. Like, seriously, it could have been like a $50 Android. But so those are some of the things going on. So WWDC would think there was a lot of updates to iOS 15 was the biggest push. Beta released certain devices. I hopefully will have a chance to play with it. I don't think my iPad is supported. I think my iPad is finally out of the supported phase for iOS 15. I think 14.7 is the last one.
What iPad did you have?
The 10.1, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It's an older iPad, but it was the first one that came out with the Apple Pencil. So I still have the.
Okay.
It's the oldest iPad possible,
and supporting that first gen Pencil. Yeah. Okay.
So that was one of the older ones. So, but which is fine. My iPhone SE can do it and can handle it pretty nicely.
Yeah, we're a little kind of stuck. I mean, like I really want to get my mom a new iPad because I think hers is the generation behind that.
Yeah,
she's been out of support for a little while, and not, I mean, she doesn't need a Pro, but I
was going to say, yeah. There's no need. You don't need to get the massive iPad or so.
Well, but and again, this is one of the things that's making me a little anxious, is because, like, with the M1, this does seem to be this does seem to be kind of the cutoff, where iPads had A series processors, but they were like the AX or the AZ. Well, we haven't had what was the last one? Was the A12? So we didn't get an A13X or Z, and we didn't get an A14X or Z. And I don't like Apple having this much fragmentation. To use a word that they love to throw our way. It's frustrating because, like, at the end of the day, my mom needs a tablet. Like, I don't know what to tell her to get. And it's getting a little frustrating. I mean, anything she gets now is going to be an upgrade, but I would like to recommend something that will have the longevity of the tablet that she had. And her requirements are not intense. They're pretty modest. It's just frustrating that Apple is really trying to like ratchet up the FOMO on these types of products.
Yeah. So, and then Rolando saying is tabs on Safari are usable, but they're a little bit weird right now. So it's interesting, the experience. I mean, again, early releases. Obviously, there is updates to the Mac OS as well, but I don't think I would run any. Like everybody was expecting an M1 or an update to the MacBook Pro. Like I think there was a few people that were bugged that I at least the way I saw it on Twitter saying that they're starting to sell off their old MacBooks, expecting the new version to come out. And I just recently went up to a MacBook 16. So day job, we use Macs. So I finally just joined the MacBook 16 2020 edition. So I'm very happy with my MacBook. It runs perfect, 64 gigs of beautiful RAM with a terabyte of SSD drive there. It's nice. It's finally great to see a Mac with more than 16 gigs. Just to me, that is pretty cool. I was like, seriously, Mac? I mean, it was late. It was late. Seriously. But 64 gigs, way over what I need. And I run parallels. I run boot camp, stuff like that. So I was enjoying the fact that I was able to divide my resources easily and equally. And it's an i9, so it's very overpowered for what I need. But it's that.
Oh, I got to say, how freaky is it when you look up Apple products on Swappa?
Oh, yeah.
And you're looking at MacBooks and last gen Mac Minis and iMacs, and they're plummeting. It's like this is Apple like as close to fire sale as I think we could get.
It's a shift. It's the when Apple released the new connector, when they went to Lightning from the old Pogo pin connector, right? Where all the old iPods and so on are all like old stuff now. Nobody wants to buy them, so prices drop. Everybody wants the new tech. It's Apple's refresh. We'll have to see what they can do with it. The reality, I think this is the way at least I would envision it if I was at Apple. It's a step in the right direction of what they want to do. They want to delineate iPad OS to be more powerful. Maybe not yet. They gave us the hardware, but the software is not ready yet. But you're right. There's no reason why they wouldn't be able to hardware specific, unlock more access to RAM, unlock more power, more processing power, allow for certain functions that they've done it in the past, right? The iPhone 11 12 Pro Max, sorry, 11 12 Pro, the 12 Pro Max can do some no 11 12 Pro Max mega ultimate with 6,000 cameras, can do the flippy flip, but the 11 Pro can't. They've done hardware specific features in the past on iOS and other devices that they've sold. There's no reason why they didn't do it yet, except for, as you said, cannibalization into the other lines of devices. They want their Airs to sell. They want their M1 laptops to sell, as opposed to an M1 tablet. But I feel like this is what you capitalize. If you own the standard of tablets, make it the standard. Make it the pros, truly a pro, not just a bigger tablet with a faster processor.
Because I mean, like from our conversation when the M1 was announced, and I've been on a bunch of, and this is what's frustrating, is like somewhere in the back of my brain is that person who went out and became an Apple product specialist and was like a huge nerd fanboy from Apple like a long time ago. Yeah. And somewhere in the back of my head, the M1 iPad was starting to look like Apple was looking at making a product for me again. And it just has been a long time since I felt that way.
Yeah.
I felt like Apple walked away from me a while ago and keeps walking away from me with the products that they make. And you're like, the M1, like putting such a good SoC in a slate where I'm less concerned about, like hardware and upgradability. Like I'm way more anxious about an iMac being more like a tablet. Fused shut, no upgradability, and like I don't like that. I don't like that for anything that looks like a desktop. But a tablet, I was getting really excited. So I think I let my emotions get the better of me because I was on a bunch of conversations. I was on some friends' podcasts and some other live streams and saying like, I'm actually very positive on this because it's going to encourage developers to start taking mobile and slate computing more seriously. Only Apple seems to have this magic power. But that only would have mattered if Apple had opened up the potential of the M1 so that developers could really take advantage of it, and then we could get that software as consumers. That's not going to happen.
No, but at least not in this generation.
My excitement is now gonna squash under the reality of how Apple does business.
The hopeful part of me is hoping that it's an opportunity, right? Even if they do open this up next year, maybe next WWDC, and iOS 14 or iPadOS 15 or 16, it still has the potential of going backwards into the hardware that we have. The hardware is ready. It's almost like saying, like, you're at the ready line and you're ready to go. They just need to give you the sign to go. And I think even if they do it with the next generation of iPads, we could still benefit from it. But it's just such a long investment. Like, do you buy the hardware now? Do you wait another year? And by then you probably settle on something else.
Yeah, and so like now I don't want to have this conversation about, well, it's for future proofing. We don't need future proofing. No one today is really getting to utilize the full potential of an iPhone 11 SoC.
Yep. I'm still rocking the 11 Pro Max. I'm not happy. I did not even try to go to 12. It's not needed.
And let's be clear, the what is it? The A14 is going to outperform your phone for CPU performance. It's going to throttle the GPU way more aggressively.
Yeah.
Even Apple is going through this problem with sustained performance and thermals and keeping stuff running consistently.
It's 2021, man.
It is. That is the name of the game right now. No one's getting out alive.
It's summer everywhere. You're getting hot anyways. But yeah, no, throttling performance for GPU performance is something.
So I'm not buying this like, well, you need it for future proofing, because I have on my desk, I've got my first generation iPhone SE, and this thing still runs like a champ, and there's very little that really slows it down. So shut up. and what we've got to do is actually start being a bit more honest about what these products are really built and designed to do. I want phones and tablets that can drive a new sort of gray area in between mobile products and traditional laptops and desktops. That's what I want.
They have to. We are way beyond on the power limitation. We are seriously at the point where they could have released the exact same 865 processor from last year without saying a thing, and people wouldn't have noticed. The performance is it's literally at the etch level of the performance that you wouldn't even notice it without being in a position where you're analyzing the data, you're analyzing the outputs, right? So where you can see the fluctuation in performance, but there really isn't much. Saving a couple of seconds over it is just, we need to find ways to prioritize it. I think that kind of circles back to the desktop mode that we've been wanting. We should be easily able to run a Chrome OS based operating system as the desktop experience on Android. There's no reason why we don't have this right now. The 765 or even...
You want to hear something kind of funny?
Sure.
So I did a thing.
You did a thing?
Yeah. So I'm going to be testing out some laptop talks, right?
Yeah.
So obviously I'm going to show off some LG Screen Plus just because, I love my Screen Plus devices. But I thought, it really is time that I just add something Samsung back into the mix. I'm just so unimpressed with their business model of late. So I did a little shopping around. $180 shipped. Galaxy S10e.
Oh my God, you got yourself nested. One of the last best series of Samsung devices on earth that included everything under the sink that you're running. Everything.
Headphone jack.
Side mounted fingerprint sensor with gesture on it. Headphone jack. Flat display. Everything. I missed the SC.
This is gonna be my Dex phone.
The 855 is going to be the thing that makes it for you.
So I'm serious. Like, all of my experiences, and I've been moving back and forth now between the Mi 11i and the OnePlus 9. These phones are great. They're really, truly great. And there are some things about the 888 that enable computational image manipulation that older phones can't do.
I'm not disagreeing with that. Like I said, there are some benefits to the 888 series,
but because of that heavy-handed HDR computational video, 4K, 8K, you get about 5 minutes of shooting time before this phone starts nuking itself, right? And I have to go back to a V60 or a V50 if I really want to shoot long rolls of 4K video. And so, even coming back, like I've been spending so much time lately on my Duo. There is so little holding you back for work, for productivity, for content consumption, for even some modest gaming. So I'm not feeling anxious at all about DeX on an 855. Like in some ways, it might even be better than if I had picked up an S21.
I think if you're running it, oh, absolutely. Don't, no, I would have said go with the S20 Plus if you had to go to anything other than
or an
like an
I was thinking S20 FE. Like I was thinking like I could
S20
maybe
FE. I think the
go
S20
FE
FE
or
was
something
for
like
sure.
that. And I was poking around and it just popped up and you're like, $180. I think I can do $180.
No, I think that's a great. First, it's a great find because you found the SE. That's the S10e. It's a unicorn, right? It's a phone that showed up once, and it showed up once and it went away. Like there was no more E series. Everything became FE. And I think
it totally fits in with like my island of misfit toys here. All of the phone companies that have gone out of business that were like the underdogs. If I'm going to do anything Samsung, it was going to be an Active.
I do have a few phones actually that from companies that went under. But speaking of which, though, I mean, we are in somewhat of a lull, but I feel like it's nice to have a little bit of a breather from hardware releases. I mean, understanding obviously that Nord just got released, or the CE or the Core, the CE 5G. But it's not in the US, so it's not like something we're going to be able to play around with a little bit. But I think it's nice that we're seeing some development, some updates in software. I'm anxious to see how OEMs are going to approach Android or Android 12, because the design changes that they're going with right now clashes tremendously with, the MIUIs, with the OxygenOS, with the Color OSs of the world, because they changed things, right? But the one thing I was saying is the notification shade, for the most part, most OEMs don't change it. They customize it, but they keep the structure standard or close to stock. So does that mean that those are the functions that we're going to see? The power menu could change also. That to me is a big change. That's a big shift from Google to remove, because that was something they introduced with Android 11, right? That was like their biggest thing in Android 11. Power controls in the power menu. Shifting the power menu into a specific thing, and it became more functional. So those are things I'm looking forward to see. So I didn't get a chance to play with Oppo's OxygenOS. Sorry, Color OS. They're close, so I'm wanting to see more on the betas. And I think MIUI, I want to try to install it. The first version of the MIUI Android 12 version was crashing on the Mi 11. So I didn't want to try that out. That was
for sure.
A lot of people, just to give you guys a heads up, it's not like we can ask for other hardware to replace our devices if our device breaks. We're just out of luck, right? These are review units. If we brick them, we brick them. But it sucks if we don't have the hardware. So those are one of the things. I tend to be a little bit more cautious when I install software. OnePlus, I'm not as much. I feel like OnePlus is easier to recover from almost anything you do, as long as you know what you're doing. But Xiaomi, I'm not as comfortable. Because you still have to be able to unlock the bootloader, and that requires a code and a whole bunch of different things. They're still a little bit more like a Huawei. And speaking of which, I don't know if you saw this. Huawei is starting to update their Chinese model smartphones to Harmony OS with an update.
Really?
Yeah, like straight upgrade directly into Harmony from Android. Not even hi, do you want to do this? But you get an update and you're automatically jumping into Harmony OS.
I've really got to try and get my hands on something Huawei or Honor. I mean, I've been saying it for the last 2 years.
It would have to be Huawei. Honor's not going to get any of that love, unfortunately.
No, but I mean, like, whatever kind of firewall they've built between those two brands, the Honor 50 is going to look a lot like.
Dude, I saw the P. That was like when I saw the pictures for the Honor, I'm like, how thick is that firewall between you two? Because right now it looks like it's paper thin. Right now, I could see you guys either saw the silhouette and you copied.
I was gonna say it looks like kind of an open window rather
than
a
window.
A firewall.
I feel like it's a window. I see.
We built a wall.
It's a wall of glass with windows. Exactly. It's a wall of glass with windows.
It's like a two-way, one-way mirror. Yeah, so that we can both look to see what's going on the other side.
So what are you guys doing today? Nothing. What are you looking? Oh, I'm sorry. You don't see
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong. For the longest time, I praised OnePlus, sorry, not OnePlus, Honor's approach to Huawei hardware, because they did literally take the best of what Huawei had to offer and then they brought it down the price. Sure. So that was the business model for Honor. For me, was always a big fan. I'm still a big fan of Honor. I hope for their new direction, what they're going with, being able to use Qualcomm as well as MediaTek processors on their devices are going to open up the experience. We still don't know how they're going to approach the Android area. Are they going to go Harmony or are they going to go Android with their Honor 50? Because if that ends up being, Android, is it going to be running Android 10? Or are they going to be able to finally use Android 11 like every other OEMs that are going to be able to use it? So those are things that I'm interested to see how the approach is with the, for aforementioned split that they've gone through for about 6 months now. So it's interesting, but that hopefully we're not going to have to wait too long to see how that goes. But Harmony OS pushed update. This reminds me of what Samsung pushed, what's it called? Tizen on their watches with an update over the Android smartwatches after the second generation, without even giving you an option. You just like woke up one day and you're on Harmony.
Well, and I like we want to talk about updates and stuff too. Getting like some surprising tease that the next version of Wear OS could be a bit more interesting, and at the same time, like Fossil's like, no, we're not gonna. We're gonna make a new watch that will have the new version of Android on it. Yeah. So I'm wondering like if there are any watches out there. So far, I think the only one might be TicWatch.
Yeah.
That might get Wear OS 3.
Wear OS, I think that's what they call it. I don't know if it's called
Wear.
Yeah. It's like Wear. What are you wearing? What are you wearing? Yeah. I think
don't make it weird. Don't make it. What are you wearing? That's not.
What are you wearing? Wait, no. I can see that conversation though. I hope that the 4100 with the 1 gig of RAM is enough to be the baseline to be a good performer.
Yeah.
Yes. But no, not just that. I want to make sure that it's a good experience going into it.
Oh, for sure.
Not a passable, you know what I mean? Like that whole experimentation that we have to go through with the hardware. Because TicWatch for the longest time, before they went to 12 to a gig of RAM, we realized that there was a limitation. There was an ecosystem structure issue that was going on. It wasn't the it wasn't the processor. Although they could have upgraded sooner, they were a little bit late to go up to the 4100. The addition of the additional RAM, they realized that was the secret sauce, and then they went to the 4100, the gig RAM, and then that became like literally it's the Maserati of TicWatches. It is my favorite TicWatch to date.
Yeah.
And I love the 3 to 4 days with the battery life, the dual display, everything like that. So whatever we get with the next version of Wear, I really hope that it does run well on our hardware. There was also some rumors that TicWatch is going to be pushing out another set of new feature updates to their smartwatches with the current gen with Wear OS. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So I saw some things on Twitter and so on. So there's a lot of things coming up, which is the interesting. Software is such a powerful tool, and we're relying more and more on it as time goes on. You see more and more features added. Like seriously, Pixel 5 did you get I'm assuming you? Oh no, wait, you're on the beta.
Yeah.
So you didn't get the new feature drop with the Astro video.
So I mean, I've got it on my Pixel 4 is my Pixel 4a is the one that's running.
Yeah. So on the Pixel 5, you got it.
On my Pixel 5, I've got it. We've had cloud cover.
I was gonna say it's the same thing.
It has been. let me tell you, it has been some of the most gorgeous evenings in Southern California with those ripples of like golden pink clouds and like
exactly
60 to 70 degrees as you go for a walk around the block at night. It has been stunning Southern California weather. Can't test
astral with clouds. Nope, absolutely.
Cloud covered.
Although your wishes are going to be coming true very soon, we're going through a short stint of a heat wave within the next few days. So I'm hoping it'll be clear skies.
It'll clear that out.
It'll be interesting. So, but yeah, no, it's something to be appreciative of Google dropping more features and updating and adding new things to their devices. That is a refreshing look, because no other camera, I mean, don't get me wrong, OnePlus adds features by correcting and modifying and optimizing the camera experience, but feature drops, seriously, like on a monthly basis, there's an update, there's going to be something cool coming to your phone. Like, isn't that cool? Isn't that like a little bit exciting every month? It's like, what new thing am I getting this week or this month kind of thing? You know what I mean? So which one are we going to get? Okay. So I do want to say this much. Juan and I are working on trying to meet up again, hopefully in the near future. So just want to let you guys know it isn't totally out. Just we haven't been able to get our calendars to fuse. Let's say that. But with that being said, I did want to actually say, hopefully in the near future, we'll have something together. The last thing I forgot, I didn't get a chance to touch with you. You said you were doing a whole bunch of stuff with MIUI, and I didn't get a chance to feel or at least see some of those. Are you enjoying MIUI 12.5? Are things going on the way you want them? Because you got that like as we were talking last Thursday. So I was like,
yeah,
okay.
So I reshot the whole section on software for the video that I'm coming out with on the Mi 11i. That should be out tomorrow. It's already early access on the Patreon.
Oh, okay. I didn't get the email on that one, but yeah,
it'll be out public tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon. I still have the way that Xiaomi wants you to use this phone and the way that you can kind of jump through a few hoops. I still have some of that internal struggle on how much Xiaomi seems to insert themselves in between you and certain services. So like you have to go in and find the setting to disable the additional malware scan when you install from Google Play, which is already
what I was going to say, already has built in, but the malware scan turned on by default. There's no way to turn it off at the beginning. Like it's not a go through and disable, but yes, no, I'm with
you. So you have to learn your way around MIUI for that. I'm still frustrated. Again, it's I know a lot of people out there are like, well, even an iPad doesn't have a calculator app, but I don't want a calculator app that is warning me about tracking my user behavior to make their calculator work. Like I want just like something that does basic math. Like you don't need to learn anything about me to do. You don't need
my you don't need my context and my GPS and my location for this.
So those caveats. I mean, I mentioned that before. I'm repeating myself here. Those caveats aside,
it's built in MIUI, unfortunately. Yeah,
I am. What 12.5 has done for this skin being as aggressively friendly, bouncy, animated, I am shocked that even in this day and age, it is as smooth a performer as it is.
Yep.
Every single piece of this UI is over animated to be fast, as bouncingly friendly as possible, but it's fast. And it's not just a component of, well, you've got your screen turned on to 120 hertz. I mean, that helps. That obviously, I mean, as you get into animating a UI, obviously. But even when I kick it down and I reduce the refresh rate, there is some kind of special sauce that's going into this thing. This is not the UI for me. I am overwhelmingly impressed with how well polished they've been able to dig into all of these nooks and crannies and completely customize the UI, but not make it feel like it's dragging the whole phone performance down.
It's exactly. It has been my feeling that ever since MIUI 12 came out on Android 10, that it was the right decision, the right move for them. They finally figured out how to make their UI element run smooth. It already gained a massive boost. 12 was massive. 12.5 was amazing. And the fact that we're getting it on our hardware now, we're able to check it out. And they also turned it around much faster, by the way, than they did other updates in the past. So that we went from 12 to 12.5 in a matter of maybe a month and a half to 2 months. And they had a beta running right away after the launch event. So for me, I've enjoyed it on the Ultra, on the 11, and then obviously on the I, we have that as well. And it actually does perform well. So kudos to Xiaomi for doing the improvement.
For some of my concerns, like they deserve so much credit.
And for that too, you can disable. So once the scanner, the malware software comes on, you go through the settings and as you mentioned, and you disable it. You can disable that. You don't have to use their calculator. But then when you jump into the theme store, it's pretty much straight into your face.
Yeah,
it's a little bit here and there. It's not the end of the world. I would say probably if you're going into a Xiaomi, you're getting this as part of the experience, but know that at least they've improved the user experience so much that it doesn't feel like it's a heavy skin. It feels as light as a pixel UI experience with all of the customizations that Xiaomi has, especially the notification panel. Swipe on the left, you get notifications. Swipe on the right, you get the new control center. I think that's genius. That's perfect. That's exactly how it is. You don't want to have to do a double swipe to open up notification. Just swipe on the left. You get all the notification you want.
And on top of that, I think this is probably the most straightforward implementation of floating windows that I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. I like that one as well. Yep.
I love that. You go into multitasking and there's just a big button that says floating windows. And you don't have to long press on anything. You don't have to find some separate menu. You don't have to and it's just right there. And you tap that and you get this little floating window. And you're like, making that just that little bit easier to find. I say this in my video. I say this in my review. I'm kind of spoiling something here, but there's so many people who don't know that their phones can do things like that because you have to know magically, like in Oxygen, you go into multitasking and then you long press on the preview of the app and then you'll get an additional menu and you still have to know what those symbols mean. Like, what does it mean when there are two rectangles with a line dividing them? If you don't know,
but that first step actually is a big hurdle. Realistically, if you think about it, most of it, why would you think it makes sense?
Xiaomi just has a button that says floating window. And it's not a symbol. It's not like a window on a cloud or something stupid like that. It's just literally labeled
floating window. It's what it does. Yeah, exactly. No. For me, I love that. I love like I said, I'm a big fan. I can't wait to, like I said, I'm waiting for that one more update on the Mi 11 Ultra to just finally get the display function on the back in video, because that's going to make a big lifestyle change for me with the Mi 11 Ultra. Because I feel like it's almost a perfect phone. I mean, don't get me wrong, front-facing camera experience is okay, it's usable, but I feel like when you get a phone like the Ultra, you are going to live with the cameras on the back and you need to learn how to use them. So for me, having that display there and not being fully used for video, portrait, everything under the sun, pro mode, I want all of those modes to activate the display. And that's so I'm very, very excited. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. So tomorrow morning late-ish, sometime tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon. So I'm probably going to put it out sort of after my lunch Pacific time. I still need to do I flipping hate all of the extra back end that we've got to do. Like, my thumbnails are always terrible, but they still take forever.
All I can say is my thumbnails are worse, and to a certain point, I've been getting help. So let's just say that much. That's how much I've needed help to just.
No, that's fair. I mean, if I can bump up the Patreon numbers just a little bit higher, I feel like. I want to get an editor, but because my editing skills are very straightforward and kind of
my god, yes, the level,
at least just to take some work off my plate, make someone who can do thumbnails and
honestly, if I had an editor, if I did not have to worry about editing my content once I shot the content, I feel like I would be a very different creator. Because I won't lie that a good part of the way I shoot my videos are in my mind of how I'm going to edit them, how the workflow needs to fit into my daily life. Because you have to realize, at the end of the day, we are one person production team, crew, personality, right? So the producer and the videographer and the talent and the audio guy are all thinking at the same time, and you kind of need to make sure that they're all jiving. And on top of that, your day job, your person, you're being a dad, being a family, all the good things going on. So I would love to be able to do that. I think my biggest limitation is trusting somebody else with my creation because of the content, but it's also like you said, it's the financial aspect of it, because I could totally produce way more content when I don't have to worry about sitting for 3 to 4 hours editing and producing and uploading and coding and doing all of the other stuff.
And the flip side of this is I don't want to do everything live stream. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no,
Well, I could just do these videos and do this review and put it out live, and then that would be, and I still want to.
You can have that aspect, but you don't want to make it into the easiest production style kind of thing. But I think my aspirations when I was able to find somebody to help me with my thumbnails was that I got one step closer to not having to worry too much, because I feel like the initial handshake where people click the link, is the thumbnail. So the naming and the thumbnail there, I need to just deliver on what's on the thumbnail, and I think we have a good story. And then lately, it hasn't been that bad. I produce two English and one Arabic video a week. I've been consistent with that recently, and I feel comfortable with that. Plus, and then of course we have the live podcast on Saturday, and you have yours, and we have our Thursdays. Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys are all in the chat enjoying it, but I personally like the 8 o'clock. I feel like it works out perfectly.
I thought we've been doing okay.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you today, by the way. It was so automatic that when we were like tagging a little bit to try to figure out the topics and so on, I didn't even bother to ask Juan what time. I just assumed it was his because we shifted it during Ramadan and it kind of stuck, which is very nice. But it's been an interesting week. So I hope next week, do you have anything kind of coming up other than the next video that you're looking forward to that people should keep?
Panasonic script is written. Cool. I'm doing a primer video on, so I did the aperture video and the shutter speed video. I want to do a video just kind of talking about things like camera moves. Okay. Sort of, I'm an audio guy, but then also from more of a production standpoint, there are so many like, hey, I shot this little short film on my phone, and you're like, what you've done is incredible. There are some dead giveaways that you did this on a phone. And one of the primary things that I think gives away phone footage is how a phone is moved. So you think it's like this great, it's like this great perk or this great benefit that you can kind of get this tiny little camera into other nooks and crannies, or it can move very aggressively to follow a subject. But there's a reason why in more professional productions, like the camera's locked off, or the camera's on, this dolly track, or the camera's on this crazy harness rig. And it's not to say like, oh, you can't make something professional if you're only going to shoot it from a phone. It's more, how can you emulate how a more professional production is going to move their camera, and why do they move their camera that way? So I've got that sort of planned out. I'm not entirely sure how I want to shoot it. And then the other fun thing is I'm trying, I might be doing just a little road tripping in about a month.
Oh, good.
So I'm playing around with this rig. Hold on one second. Oh, I got it. Reach. Good. Almost. Got it. On the bookshelf.
Right there.
Headphones are cabled. Oh, man.
Okay. If Juan falls on the ground, we know it. Okay, here you
go. Okay. So this isn't the best mount that I've ever played with. It's kind of plasticky. It's kind of cheap. So this looks awful, right? But you can see there's that little hole for where
the lens,
where the camera's kind of peeking through. But what it might be helpful for, and I might try to do this entire road trip without a laptop or my main camera, is you can set it up as a teleprompter rig.
Oh, dude, I remember. Is that the Parrot? It's
the little Parrot, and so someone else made this little custom plastic mount. It's not amazing, but it might work for shooting off of phone footage. The only problem is the mount. The biggest phone that the mount can really hold is my V50. So I might need to go down to a V50 to shoot my A-roll. But I'm playing. I'm going to see if I can pull this off.
Okay. Well, yeah. No. One thing I do want to mention, I think Aditya kind of pointed out, which is a good point. Yeah, you're right. So it's lighting as well. Lighting is a very big, crucial part of shooting. The other thing that I always felt like DSLRs or SLRs cameras or bigger cameras do typically that our smartphones don't, is typically that they rely heavily also on the lenses and the zoom capabilities of these lenses. Like typically when they were trying to get to somebody, they don't move the whole camera. Yeah, they actually kind of focus and then start adjusting and kind of using the optics, which is something smartphones can't do, but you can mimic with the right movement of the camera. Like, when you're standing up and then you slowly kind of come in, as opposed to do the whole swivel, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to move around. There are certain things I would definitely be interested to see, because we have everybody has a smartphone that has a camera on them. So this could definitely apply to everybody that has ever thought of making their footage a little bit more interesting. And I can definitely say that angles are the biggest part when you're taking pictures, in video as well. It's all about angles. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. So for me, at least in the next week or so, I'm hoping to be able to push out the Sony XM4s. I think that next week, hopefully I'll be able to push those out. I couldn't do it with 24 hours. I'm not that cool. So I didn't.
You don't have like a full conclusion of a comprehensive.
I had my script written before I ordered it. So I just want a week now to validate that script. No, I didn't. I don't do that. So for me, it's mostly focusing on that. I also want to spend a little bit more time with Android 12. I want to kind of see how Android 12 beta 2 has kind of been kicking in.
Nice.
Hopefully I'm going to start jumping in on all the different updates to Android. I feel like I always enjoy those because we get a chance to check them out. The OnePlus 9 Pro, I've been using it actually also as a daily driver for the last few days. As I was finishing up my OnePlus Watch review, I went and took that one with the latest update to Magic Mountain. We've been going there a lot. I feel like we live there. So Magic Mountain is amazing because it has a lot of very nice, colorful backdrops, and with the sun and the weather that we've been having, everything just jumps at you. So a 4K 120 clip, it looks so much more amazing in that kind of an experience realistically, because it's very well lit, right? 4K 120 needs a lot of light. You can't do that in low light. So I'm excited. So hopefully next week, it'll be my OnePlus 9, 3 months, after 3 months, and then the S20. It's not the S20, the Sony's S20. And the S20 is back in the game. No, that's one of those. But with that being said, I think we're kind of hitting that normal, nice little, about an hour and a half conversation. Yeah, we're almost in there. Wanted to say, of course, V50. Oh, DTS jumping in with the V50. Of course, V50 for the win, man. Always. I was looking at some of those pictures, like you saw those pictures that I posted on Twitter of us from the YouTube Space thing.
Yeah.
As I found that footage, I found the other footage from our other meetup that you and I did in Marina del Rey for Sprint. Remember?
Yeah.
So that was a very fun show where we got a chance to see Sprint 5G rolling out in LA, and we got a chance to play with. I mean, you got a chance to play with the V50, the Sprint edition. I got the OnePlus 7 Pro 5G, the only 7 Pro that had 5G, which doesn't work anymore. But it was a very interesting experience. So I got to see some of those clips and stuff, and then I got that one clip of you doing this. It was a really fun show. We were at YouTube Space, and they needed a model, and Juan volunteered, so he went over to the front. And at the time, I was running, I think it was Android 10 or Android 11 beta. I forgot which. I forget the timing. It was Android 2019, and and we were looking. Oh, and you know what? The ROG Phone 2 was with me then. That was right when I came back from China.
So we use that as like one of the props on the table.
We did. We put that on the table. So that I had a whole bunch of pictures of those.
Okay, their lighting was amazing, but it took them like 10 minutes to light your phone with these giant soft boxes.
It is. It was the reflectiveness of that phone.
And you're like, that's hilarious. One, it's amazing that they got such a good looking shot. But two, I could not spend all day shooting B-roll of the phone to light it that well. I just
for that one shot. Yeah,
for that one shot.
Yeah, exactly.
And the way they had all the softboxes lined up, like there was only one angle the camera could hit it at, and then they would have to break it all down to move the camera to get another shot.
And that was a studio, by the way, guys. It was not a room. It was a studio. It was a full-on studio, and they were bringing. I forgot the name of those things. The transparent color, the
gels and stuff.
The gels. That's what it was. I was going to say swabs. So they were putting in gels in there because the ROG Phone 2 is very reflective, and at the time it was still very, very new. So they were trying to get the right angle, the right lighting, the mood, and all of that. But they did a decent job. I mean, and if you guys saw the picture I posted of Juan, he was the set was pre-configured for a talent to sit in the middle. So that was why we got it, and that wasn't as hard. But when we flipped the table on them, we told them that, hey, we do product photography, not people. They're like, well, hold on, we could do this.
Well, let's see what we can do about this. And again, when you see people do it right, like when people who really know how to light, it is amazing. But at the same time, you're like,
it would have taken me an hour just to figure out half of what they did, like to bring in the combination, to put it in, to set it up.
Even if they were doing it for me, I don't think I could take that much time to one B-roll shot.
I think you know what? Maybe if things are opening up, I don't know if the YouTube Space is open up or not. I think maybe at some point.
Oh, I think they shut them down.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I think Google has like ended the YouTube Space program.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Well,
it's like over, unfortunately.
Well, so okay.
I'm still hitting him up because like Team Pixel, we were talking about trying to do an audio.
Yeah, no, I saw your post. I remember.
And so I hit up Mark again. So I'm hoping that we can do a recording workshop. And if we can, I want you to come in as like my lovely and talented assistant. Because I need some backup. I'll bring a whole ton of mics and
dude, I'll be the guy with the boom mic right on top, sitting right there, sitting with the headphones saying, okay.
So like, how would you really mic this? Well, I would spend 20 minutes setting up a mixing console over here, and then I'd get an assistant to hold this pole over his head.
Exactly. we'll make it we'll make it happen. But on that note, I want to say, of course, thank you to everybody for hanging out with us. Steve DeRoche, merci beaucoup, mon ami. Aditya, Gary the fireman, everybody hanging out with us this late in the evening on Thursday evening. Ranesh is in there as well. Sorry, I did see Ranesh as well. I know Dan Geist was in there earlier. He slept on the couch, woke up to go to bed, and then jumped on the live chat real quick. Total big supporter. Always love him. Yeah, I'm waiting for him to come back to start playing some games. And then I think everybody else hanging out with us here. Yes, Gary, Ranesh. Greg was in there as well. Steve DeRoche. Hopefully, I'm saying that correctly. And then Sebastian was in there as well. I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope the rest of the week kind of goes well. I know here in LA, we're going to be getting a little bit of a heat, but you know what? That's how it is. We accept it. That's how life is. I think I mentioned to you guys last week that this was coming in the mail, and it is here. So
I'm so stoked for your build, dude. I'm gonna have to live vicariously through how awesome that is.
So excited! It's a massive jump. I'm waiting on a couple more components before I start. I think on Saturday I showed everybody on my chat, because this showed up on Saturday. The Corsair, the Corsair. Everybody was thinking it was a Sony. I was like, hey, is it the Sony? Or no. Everybody thought it was an RX 3080 Ti. I'm like,
I wish.
It's like if that was what was in the box, you would have seen. Okay, guys, thank you very much. The show is over. I am going to be jumping on COD. Yeah, it's going to be a gaming live stream in 2 seconds. Aditya, it's the 5950X Ryzen 7. Sorry, Ryzen 9. Sorry, not the 7. I have a 7. It's literally, and I was able to get it at MSRP. I got it actually retail, no scalping pricing off of from Micro Center. So, dude, it was total luck. It was total luck, and I had to pull a favor from a buddy of mine in a different state. Let's just say that much. It was that weird of a combination. But outside of California, not every Micro Center runs out of hardware. It's weird. It was like, what? Only we. No, there was like the last one, and luckily I was able to get that. So I will say thank you very much to a buddy of mine, and of course, that will be the core of my system. And if I ever do win anything on the shuffles, I'll let you guys know. I don't think I will, but I want to say thank you, Juan, for hanging out with us. Thank you, everybody, again. Santiago as well. Oh, hey, man, thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't see you there before. Hope you do well. Hope you are well, and stay safe. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Best of Our Week with everybody else. And Gary the fireman hitting us up with the gaming TK, always for the win. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.